Let me tell y'all something real. If someone betrays your trust in a relationship, it hits different. That ain't just a little mistake. That ain't a small slip up. That's a wound, and it don't bleed on the outside. It bleeds on your heart. And I don't care how tough you think you are. When somebody breaks your trust, it'll humble you in ways you didn't think were possible. Now listen, trust ain't something you just pick up off the shelf. Trust is built, it's crafted, it's developed through time, truth, consistency, and action. You don't give it out like candy. You give it to someone you believe in, someone you thought was safe. And when that person turns around and does you wrong, woo, that's a hard pill to swallow. You ever gave somebody your all? You ever shared your secrets, your scars, your dreams, everything, just for them to throw it back in your face like it didn't matter? Let me tell you what that feels like. That feels like you were standing in the middle of the street and they hit you with the very car you helped them build. But let me say this, their betrayal ain't your reflection, it's theirs. Read that again. Somebody doing you dirty don't mean you were too much. It means they weren't enough. And sometimes when folks mess you over, you start doubting yourself, thinking, was I too trusting? Was I too soft, too loving? No, you were exactly who you were supposed to be. They just weren't ready for real. Here's the part you gotta hold on to. Your healing is your job, but their guilt is not your baggage. Let them carry that weight. You've already carried enough. Don't you go losing sleep over someone who slept just fine after breaking your heart. Don't you start walking around bitter cold, shutting everybody out. Nah, keep being you, just wiser, stronger, smarter with your love, but never ashamed of the way you love. And don't try to get even. That's not your job. See, when people betray, life has a funny way of circling back. You don't need revenge. You need peace. You don't need to prove anything to them. You need to prove to yourself that one bad chapter won't end your whole story. So pick yourself up. Wipe those tears. Straighten that back. Remind yourself that your value wasn't reduced just because someone failed to see it. You are not disposable. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are simply someone who loved real in a world full of fakes. And you know what? That's powerful, because now you've learned. Now you know what betrayal feels like, and you know you survived it. That makes you dangerous, in the best way, because now you walk with experience, with truth, with clarity, and most of all with strength that nobody can take from you. Keep your heart soft, but your standards high. And next time, let somebody earn that trust, not just ask for it, because trust isn't a gift, it's a reward. And not everybody deserves a seat at your table just cause they showed up. Betrayal of trust says more about them than it does about you. When someone betrays you, it reflects their character, not your worth. You didn't love too hard. They just weren't capable of honoring real love. Your healing is your responsibility, not their guilt. Don't carry the burden of their actions. Focus on your peace and growth, instead of seeking revenge or answers from someone who already showed you who they are. Your value remains intact, despite betrayal. Being hurt doesn't mean you're broken or weak. It means you were genuine in a world that often isn't, and that's something to be proud of. Keep your heart open, but your standards higher. Don't let betrayal harden you. Learn from it. Next time, let people earn your trust through consistency and actions, not just words. When someone betrays your trust, it can shake you to your core. You sit there wondering how it happened, why it happened, and what you did to deserve it. That's the dangerous part. You start turning inward, thinking maybe you weren't enough, maybe you made a mistake, maybe you were too soft or too blind. But the truth is, betrayal doesn't define you. It defines the person who committed it. What they did says far more about who they are than who you are. Just because someone couldn't handle your love or your loyalty doesn't mean you were wrong for giving it. It just means they weren't ready, or worse, they didn't value what they had. But that's not on you. Let's be real. Trust is one of the most precious things you can give someone. It's not just about believing they won't lie or cheat. It's about feeling safe with them. It's about thinking you can finally let your guard down and stop pretending. It's when you let someone see you without the armor. When they violate that, it feels like a personal attack, but it's not about your worth. It's about their weakness. Some people don't know how to receive love. Some people are so used to pain and chaos that when something real shows up, they don't know how to handle it. So they sabotage it. They betray it, and they walk away as if nothing happened. That's not your fault. People like to say, you should have seen the signs, or you trusted too fast. But that's easy to say from the outside. When you care about someone, you want to believe in them. You want to trust that they mean what they say. That's not foolish. That's human. That's love. Don't let anyone shame you for being real in a world full of people playing games. You were honest. You gave someone a chance. And if they blew it, that's on them. That's their reflection in the mirror, not yours. There's a harsh truth here, though. Betrayal stings worst when it comes from someone you believed in. It creates this emotional knot in your chest that's hard to untangle. You start questioning your judgment, your instincts, your self-worth. You wonder if you were just naive. But no, you were brave. You opened up, and that takes strength. Don't let someone's poor decisions convince you that your softness was a weakness. It was your strength. And next time, you'll still be soft, but you'll be wise. That's growth. That's what happens when you take pain and turn it into power. The real danger is when you start believing their actions are a mirror of your value. That's how betrayal messes with your mind. You think, if I had done this differently, maybe they wouldn't have done that. But people don't betray you because of something you lack. They do it because of something they lack. Integrity, character, maturity, accountability. Betrayal is a decision, not a reaction. They had a choice. They chose the coward's route. And that's not your burden to carry. You see, when someone betrays you, what they've really done is disqualify themselves from your presence, from your loyalty, from your energy. That doesn't mean you weren't worthy. It means they weren't ready. That's the shift you have to make in your thinking. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Because life will keep putting you in situations where people show you their true colors. Your job is not to repaint them. Your job is to recognize who they are and act accordingly. You have to believe that your worth doesn't go down just because someone couldn't see it. If you gave love, trust, and honesty, you did your part. You stayed true to yourself, and that's what matters. You don't need closure from the person who hurt you. You don't need their apology to heal. What you need is to remember that your value never left. It was always there, even when they couldn't appreciate it. You're still the same person, maybe even better now, because pain has a way of teaching you things success never could, so let them go. Not with bitterness, not with hate, but with peace. Because holding on to betrayal is like holding on to fire and expecting the other person to burn. It only hurts you. Set it down, walk forward, and remind yourself every single day what someone did to you doesn't define who you are. You define you. Your loyalty, your heart, your strength. That's who you are, and the right people will honor that. The wrong ones will walk away, or worse, betray it. But either way, you'll be okay, because what they did is on them, and who you are is still yours to protect. Healing after betrayal is one of the most difficult things a person can go through, not because you're weak, but because you're human. When someone you trusted breaks that trust, they create a wound that can't be seen, but is felt deeply. And what most people don't realize is that while the betrayal might not have been your fault, the healing, that's your responsibility. That doesn't mean you have to rush the process or pretend everything is fine. It means choosing every single day not to let what they did continue to control your peace. Too often, we want the person who hurt us to fix what they broke. We want them to apologize, to explain, to show remorse. But the truth is, many times, they won't. And even if they do, it still doesn't undo the damage. That's why waiting for someone else to give you closure is dangerous. You're giving them power over your healing. You're saying, I can't move on unless you make this right. But sometimes the people who hurt you don't even understand the depth of their impact. Sometimes they don't care. And sometimes they're too broken themselves to acknowledge what they've done. You can't tie your peace to their accountability, so you have to make a decision, not out of spite, not out of ego, but out of love for yourself. You have to decide that you deserve peace, regardless of what they do or don't do. You have to choose to let go of the story where you're the victim waiting to be rescued. You're not waiting on them anymore. You're taking your power back. That doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't hurt. It means no longer giving it permission to define your future. Healing is messy. One day you'll feel strong and confident, and the next day you'll feel like you're back at square one. That's okay. Progress isn't a straight line, but what matters is that you keep showing up for yourself, that you keep choosing to process the pain instead of burying, that you give yourself space to cry, to scream, to ask why, but also that you give yourself permission to smile again, to laugh, to feel light, because the one who hurt you already took enough. Don't let them keep your joy too. People will say move on like it's a simple switch, but healing doesn't mean erasing what happened. It means learning to live with the scar, not the open wound. It means reminding yourself that their betrayal doesn't mean love is a lie. It just means they were the wrong chapter in your story. And trust me, one chapter doesn't ruin the whole book. The pain you're feeling right now, it won't last forever, but the strength you build from overcoming it, that'll stay with you for life, and you don't need to get even. That's the trap. You think, if they could hurt me, I should hurt them back. But revenge doesn't bring peace. It just brings more pain. Your healing is about freeing yourself from the cycle of hurt, not becoming another version of them. Let karma do its thing. Let life teach them what you don't have to. Your job isn't to teach them a lesson. Your job is to rise above it. Your job is to grow, to protect your heart without hardening it, to set boundaries without building walls so high no one can reach you. So what do? You take a breath, you sit with the pain, and then you remind yourself your worth is not based on someone else's ability to treat you right. It's based on who you are at your core when nobody is watching. It's in the loyalty you offered, the kindness you gave, the truth you told, and the way you kept showing up, even when it wasn't returned. Those things don't vanish just because someone else didn't appreciate them. If anything, it proves how solid you are. You don't have to prove your worth to the one who broke your heart. You don't need to bend over backwards to show them what they lost. That's not healing. That's desperation wrapped in pain. What you really need is to turn inward and start seeing yourself through a clearer lens. Not the one they distorted with their lies or manipulation, but the one that reflects the truth. You are still valuable, still deserving, still whole. Even if they walked away, even if they cheated, lied, betrayed, or disappeared, you are not broken because they were blind. One of the most empowering things you can do after betrayal is to reclaim your narrative. Instead of saying I wasn't enough, start saying they weren't capable. Instead of thinking I must have been the problem, say I showed up with love and they didn't know what to do with it. Flip the story, not to play victim, but to step back into your power. Because the danger of betrayal is that it doesn't just hurt, it steals. It steals your confidence. It steals your joy. It steals your trust in others, and sometimes even in yourself, but only if you let it. So stop letting people who couldn't love you properly rewrite the way you see yourself. They don't get that kind of control anymore. Start looking at your reflection and seeing the person who survived, not the person who was abandoned. Start believing that your softness is a gift, not a curse, that your loyalty is rare, not foolish, that your love is a blessing, not a mistake. Don't let their inability to handle what you offered make you shrink yourself. Grow instead, glow instead, level up instead. Healing starts the moment you realize their actions don't have the authority to define you. They only define themselves. You are not what happened to you. You are how you rise from it. And when you rise, you carry with you a deeper sense of self, a clearer understanding of love, and a louder voice that says, I am still worthy, still whole, still enough. They may have walked away, but your value never did. The most powerful thing you can do after being betrayed is to love yourself harder, to pour into your own soul what they failed to. Because the guilt they carry, that's not your luggage. Let them carry that weight. You already carried the relationship, the trust, the love, and the disappointment. Steve carried enough. It's time to put it down. It's time to start again, not because they apologize, but because you chose to live. So every day, remind yourself, their actions don't get to shape your story. You get to decide what comes next. You get to write the next chapter, one that's filled with strength, with clarity, and with peace. Not because they fixed what they broke, but because you healed anyway. Because you refused to let their betrayal be the reason you stopped believing in yourself. Because you realized that your healing was always yours to own, and you claimed it. And the day you finally breathe without the heaviness in your chest, that day is coming. Not because they said sorry, but because you chose to be free. Because you understood that your peace was never in their hands. It was always in yours. When you've been betrayed in a relationship, especially by someone you gave your heart and trust to, it can shake your sense of identity. The pain makes you question everything, your worth, your judgment, your love. You start replaying memories in your head, asking yourself where you went wrong, what signs you missed, what more you could have done to keep things from falling apart. And that's exactly where the damage grows deeper. Not in the betrayal itself, but in how it convinces you that their failure somehow means you weren't good enough. But let's get one thing straight. Your value doesn't decrease just because someone else couldn't recognize it. Their betrayal doesn't make you less. It doesn't make you unworthy of love. It doesn't make you weak. What it actually proves is that you had the strength to give something real in a world where most people only play pretend. You loved with intention. You trusted with hope. You believed with your whole heart. That's not a flaw. That's something rare. But betrayal has a way of flipping that on its head. It whispers lies to you in the dark, tells you that maybe you were too much, too emotional, too trusting, too naive. You start questioning if maybe loving the way you did was the problem. But it wasn't. The problem wasn't that you were too much. It's that they were too little in character, too little in honesty, too little in commitment. People like that don't hurt you because of who you are. They hurt you because of who they are and what they lack. It's hard not to internalize their mistake. When you give someone your heart and they break it, it feels personal. And while it may have been directed at you, it wasn't because of you. You could have done everything right, and they still would have done what they did. That's something most people don't want to accept. But it's true, because betrayal isn't always about something being wrong with you. Sometimes it's about the emptiness in them. And no amount of loving, fixing, or sacrificing on your part could have filled what they were missing inside themselves. After betrayal, it's natural to want to protect yourself. You build walls, you second-guess everyone, and you promise yourself never to trust that easily again. That's what pain does. It makes you cautious, guarded, even cold at times. And while it's wise to learn from the hurt, there's a difference between protecting your peace and imprisoning your heart. The truth is, when someone betrays you, you don't have to stop being who you are. You just have to be wiser about who gets close to you. You don't have to turn bitter. You just have to raise your standards. You see, betrayal has a way of convincing people that the only way to stay safe is to stop caring altogether. But when you shut down completely, you lose more than just the ability to get hurt. You lose the ability to love fully, to connect deeply, and to experience real joy. And that's too big of a price to pay for someone else's mistake. What you need isn't to change your heart, it's to change your boundaries. Not everyone deserves access to your most vulnerable spaces. Not everyone deserves the benefit of the doubt. Love, trust, and energy are valuable resources, and you've got to start treating them like that. The world will always have people who misuse love. That's just reality. But it also has people who understand what it means to be loyal, to show up, to protect what they're given. You can't let one person's betrayal become the standard by which you measure every relationship moving forward. If you do, you'll start filtering everything through fear instead of discernment. You'll mistake healthy caution for emotional isolation, And over time, you'll realize you're not really avoiding hurt, you're avoiding life. Raising your standards doesn't mean expecting perfection from others. It means expecting honesty, consistency, respect. You're not asking for too much when you expect someone to be who they say they are. You're not asking for too much when you want love without manipulation. Real love is never afraid of transparency, and people who are serious about you won't be threatened by your boundaries. They'll respect them, they'll welcome them, because they'll understand that what you're offering is something real, and real things require protection. Let's be honest, when someone breaks your heart, there's a part of you that wants to protect yourself by lowering the bar, by telling yourself not to care, by ignoring red flags, or by avoiding connection altogether. That's a defense mechanism. But deep down, you know that you're still capable of loving deeply. That's your truth. And instead of pretending to be cold, why not honor that part of yourself by loving smarter, loving slower, paying attention to consistency, not just charm, letting time reveal who's genuine and who's just performing. Because the thing about trust is, once it's broken, it's hard to give again. And that's okay. It should be hard. Trust is sacred. It should be earned. You don't owe anyone instant access to your heart just because they say all the right things. You owe yourself the patience and wisdom to see who aligns with your standards, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. Some people will test those boundaries. They'll try to push past them with guilt or pressure. That's when you remind yourself that your standards exist for a reason. They're not walls to keep love out. They're filters to let the right love in. There's nothing wrong with being protective of your peace, especially when you fought hard to find it again. After betrayal, peace isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity, and anyone who truly loves you will want to protect that peace with you, not disrupt it. Over time, you'll learn that you can still be kind without being naive. You can be open without being exposed. You can give love without giving it to the wrong people. You don't have to stop trusting, you just have to start verifying. Pay attention to actions, not just words. Look for follow-through, not just promises. And most importantly, listen to your intuition. That voice in your gut, that's your wisdom talking. That's experience speaking up. Don't silence it just to avoid loneliness. You're not who you were before the betrayal. You're stronger now, smarter, sharper. And that doesn't mean you're jaded. It means you've grown. You've learned to protect your light without dimming it, to guard your heart without locking it away. You still have love to give, but now you understand that not everyone deserves to receive it. And that's not bitterness, that's clarity. So keep your heart open, but your standards high, because the right people will never ask you to lower them. They'll rise to meet them. They'll show up without games, without confusion, without betrayal. And when they do, you'll realize that protecting your heart wasn't about keeping love out, it was about preparing to welcome the love you truly deserve.